everybody. Lord Tremendous here, and I got another book review here for you. This is book 7 of Starships Apocalypse, volume 2 of Time and Terrors, a collection of short stories by Andrew P. McGregor. This one is called Trouble at the Old Mint. It's still science fiction, still published April 4th, 2021, and this one is 13 pages long. And quick spoiler, this one's much better than the last one. I actually, well, you know what? We'll talk about it in just a second. Let's get to it. So this breaks with the formula that this author's been using throughout this short story collection. This story coincides with the last one. Same main character. Honestly, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of time has passed since the last story. Dr. Mia Garcia is the main character again, only this time the story picks up very shortly after the last one. Mia has to go to a tiny husk world and negotiate for some squatters to leave there. She's an idiot still, so she botches it tremendously and commits accidental genocide. That's really the synopsis of the story. In the end, it's a happy ending, I guess. It's very weird, but it's not bad though. I'll get into it in a second. The cover is still great. I have no problem with the cover whatsoever. Been over that already. The editing, again, this might get me in trouble because my wife is the editor, but there was a handful of editing errors. Instead of she, the word show was used. There was some nonsensical sentences and stuff like that early on in the book. Not a ton, but it was definitely flow stopping. So the feel and the story flow took a little bit of a hit, but not like story ruining or anything like that, but definitely caught my attention, and I will be sure to give my wife some grief about that when she gets home from work later. But yeah, it needs to be proofread one more time, and I think everything would be fine. So the story starts off with Mia, and she's back. She's hanging out with her husband. Everything is sunshine and rainbows. She's a very happy person. And the best part of the story is the metal balls are back. Oh, it was so great to see them. I was excited. And no, I had not read ahead. I did not realize the metal balls were still going to be back. I didn't realize that Mia was going to be back. I could have done without Mia, I got to be honest. But the fact that the metal balls were back, I'm not going to lie, I was smiling. I was happy to see it. So the metal ball is still the guide. It's like a translator guide or whatever, and it's talking to me and is like, hey, we need you as an ambassador to do something for the Galactic Council, the ruling universal government body. And she's like, why me? And he's like, the ball is like, because you're an ambassador. You passed the trials. And her husband's like, I want to go too. And he's like, you can't. You're not an ambassador. He's like, you didn't pass the test. He's like, a child could pass the test. I like the husband. And the ball is like, yep, but you didn't. She did. She was first, so she's the ambassador. Like I said, the government, their rules and how things work are stupid as hell, but I get it. And the metal ball's delivering the line, so I'm happy about it. Anyway, so the husband has to stay behind, and Mia has to go down to this little tiny husk world that some squatters are sitting around, because what I thought was really cool is black holes are not natural phenomenon. They are minted by alien technology, by the governmental agency, as basically, I don't know, universal cosmic coins that have incredible value, and the people that own them are ridiculous rich. And they trade these coins for stuff here and there. And the current owner of this black hole wants to trade it for a new moon. That's the story. I just thought that was interesting. I saw a lot of crypto, like leadings there and everything like that. It was very interesting. I thought it was cool. The author, he's great at this. He put in there how if the black hole is involved in a murder or the loss of life or a solar system being destroyed, the value of the black hole actually increases exponentially because of the history of that particular coin. I thought that was great. A little dark. You want to get rich? Send your coin into a populated cosmos and just wait. I thought it was kind of cool, but anyway, the reason that she's got to get these squatters to get out of there is because the owner of this black hole wants to sell it, wants to use it to get a moon, and they can't do that when people are living around it because it taints the coin for whatever reason. Just real quick to go back, Teb is in this, but he's in jail for going down to the Husk world in a previous story. But remember, he was an ambassador too, so going down to that Husk world, he did nothing wrong. And none of the other stuff that he did actually happened because the alien rhinoceros scorpion teleported him back through time, or transported him back through time to the point where he just arrived at the planet. So he didn't do anything wrong. So why his ambassador status has been revoked because of touching down on the planet doesn't make any sense, because he has diplomatic immunity. He is an ambassador. He's allowed to do all these things. So why Teb was in jail, why he wasn't able to come with on this on this negotiation thing, why he was no longer ambassador, doesn't make any sense. But that's an old story. The only reason I bring it up in this one is because this particular story did bring that up as kind of a tying up loose ends thing, which honestly I didn't like. It doesn't make any sense, but it's a small thing. Honestly, it's a nitpick thing, and I wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't brought up in the story. So Mia goes to the tiny Husk world with the metal ball in tow, and her husband watches from their ship. And once again, Mia proves to be one of the most inept, stupid, moronic humans that our society has ever developed. She did zero prep. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know why the squatters won't leave. She doesn't know what they look like. She doesn't know their mannerisms, their customs, their courtesies. She didn't do a basic Google search for these things. She has the metal ball of universal knowledge that she could pump for information, and she doesn't. She doesn't ask any questions. She doesn't get prepared. She brings her personal teleporter, which I thought was interesting because on this one, she brings the personal teleporter with her again. Not to use it, but as a plot device later on. But it makes a little bit more sense. One of my complaints about the previous book was, why didn't she use her personal teleporter? Now, I don't know if she brought it with her on this last one. I thought she did, but in this one, apparently she's carrying around antimatter fuel in a big canister on her back of her spacesuit. I don't recall that happening in the last story. I don't know if this was a new addition for this one, or if it was just there the whole time and the author didn't bring it up in the last story, but I guess that could make sense on why she didn't bring it with her. But considering she's bringing it with her to a negotiation, it seems like it was probably attached to her spacesuit. But again, it's just a weird thing to point out, and she doesn't plan on use. Again, she doesn't use it to transport or teleport or anything like that. It's just a plot device. Very confusing, and I don't like its use. But again, Mia's a moron. She does zero prep, has no idea what these people even look like. So when she gets down there, just like everything else, she's surprised. She's just spitballing. I'm going to go ahead and, walk in to represent my entire species, and if I fail, we could be eradicated. But you know what? I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal, and I'm going to do it. Mia's a moron, and in reality, we'd all be dead because of her incompetence. It's terrifying. So the metal ball leads her, down to the Husk planet or whatever. It's a tiny little one. It's like 10 kilometers in size, which is still huge and really cool. But when she gets down there, the people down there are like little cockroaches and stuff like that. And she has no idea, doesn't even know what they look like, doesn't know what their customs, courtesies, or mannerisms are like. So for all she knows, she's coming down there as a negotiator, basically like she's at a nude beach. You have no idea. Maybe she was supposed to bring something. Maybe she was supposed to bow a certain way or make a certain noise. Maybe they were expecting her to be violent. You have no idea. You get no prep. She does no prep work. She just goes down there, and for all she knows, she walks in there and causes an international incident. It'd be the same as if you went to another country to negotiate with their government and didn't know any of their customs and courtesies. Go to a Middle East town from America with American custom sensibilities. See what happens. It's not going to go well for you. And that's nothing negative about Middle East. It's just their culture is different than ours, and you have to adhere to their standards, customs, and courtesies when you go to their home. This is basic understanding of other cultures. All right? This is super simple. Military enlisted people get briefed this constantly whenever they go somewhere, so they know all these things. And Mia, the wonder moron, just goes, I'm just going to show up and see what happens. I want her shot out of an airlock yesterday. Okay, so back to some positive stuff, though. The squatters, the aliens, are really cool, basically trench coat wearing cockroaches. This author comes up with amazing aliens. I loved it. I loved it. Huge, sentient, well, not huge, 4 foot tall at the top of their antenna. So, tiny things. And they're not really cockroaches, is just the best way to describe what they look like. But they're wearing clothes. They're wearing people clothes. So, in my mind, I saw trench coat wearing cockroaches, and I was very happy. So the negotiations start. She crawls over because everything's smaller than us, and I like that too. That's a great detail that the author puts in there. Not all aliens are going to be human-sized, despite what you see on Star Trek. The aliens, the cockroaches, the squatters, they're much smaller than we are. Now Mia can fit inside their buildings and inside their rooms, but like the chairs are too small for her, the table's too small for her. She's got to kneel down, and she's still towering over everyone by 2-3 feet. I love that. That is genius. And it gives you a real sense of like being in an alien world, because it's like, wow, this was not made for humans and we're not used to that. I like this a lot. But anyway, again, moron Mia did no prep work, has no idea of the situation, has no background, and so she comes to the negotiation tables with an alien government. She has to get them off this planet, away from this coin. There is no leaving them there. That is not an option. The metal ball makes that very clear. So she's sitting there, no prep work, no idea what's going on, no background on this situation, just get them to leave. And she's like, okay, moron. And it turns out the cockroaches have been there for 3 million years. Okay, so it's not like they just started squatting or anything like that. This has been their home for millions of years. So I get where they're coming from. Mia gets where they're coming from, but it doesn't matter. That's not, sympathy and empathy. That's not the point. You can't do that in this situation. Again, she's an ambassador. She's the last remaining ambassador of the human species. If she continues to fail, which she seems prone to do, we're going to be eradicated. Civil war is still brought up in this story, and yeah, humanity being seen as unworthy of life. Yeah. In Mia's hands. I mean, we might as well just kiss our butts goodbye because she's useless. It turns out also, things she didn't know, is that the cockroaches have been offered a new and better home world anywhere in the galaxy. They've got a lot of different options. Free transport there, including all the flora, fauna, atmosphere, whatever they want to move from this place, but they've refused. You don't know why they refused, other than they're just being stubborn. No, we've lived here for 3 million years. This is our home, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but we can bring you to a utopia that's a lot better than this thing that's surrounded by a black hole that's literally trying to kill you all the time. She doesn't even get into negotiations. She doesn't try to reason with them, doesn't try to talk to them, doesn't try to appeal to their sensibilities. Just immediately, this absolute moron goes, I think I know what I could give them in order to make them leave. It doesn't make any sense at all why she would think this. There's no reason to believe that giving up humanity's most prized technology would change the minds of these cockroaches whatsoever. But she wants to give up the teleportation technology, the stuff that she brought on her back. No idea why that came to, it doesn't make any sense. Why would that convince them to leave? Because now they could explore more. You just heard they don't want to leave. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to sit and squat here, moron. But again, she's an idiot, so she calls her moron husband and says, hey, I'm going to give these aliens our teleportation technology in order to get them off the husk world, because we can't fail at this. And her husband's like, okay, dear, whatever you say. No argument, no problem at all. Completely handicap humanity, our one advantage against the alien species that are out there. Yeah, let's give it up, no problem. I would shoot her in the head. I would shoot her husband, any children she had. Mia's got to go. She is literally the greatest threat to humanity in this world. She's got to go. She's going to kill us all. Absolutely. But what's cool, though, is the author realizes this, and the cockroaches refuse her offer. However, moron Mia has pointed out she's got incredibly valuable, rare technology on her back and no sense on how to protect it whatsoever. So they go, nope, negotiations are over. We're not taking the offer, but we are taking your technology. And Mia's like, what? I don't think so. It's mine. And proceeds to try to run away from them. Well, she's on a cockroach home planet with no prep work done. They get a hold of her. They tear her up. Not enough to kill her, unfortunately, but enough where before her husband can come in and teleport her to safety. Again, why didn't she just teleport herself? She has the flippin' thing on her back, but no, she had the, again, Mia is a moron, and she runs away, gets overwhelmed. Her husband saves her by teleporting her. There's an antenna on her arm when she, shows up on the platform or whatever. And unfortunately, the aliens have gotten the teleportation fuel off of her back, the antimatter fuel. And while ripping it off her back, they were able to crack it open, causing it to leak out, causing a singularity to occur on their husk world, destroying it and killing all the cockroach people. All of them are dead. The husk world is dead, gone, destroyed, and Mia and her husband are arrested. Well, what ends up happening there is that there's a trial. The Galactic Council puts them on trial for genocide. Rightfully so, right? Yes, not intentional, 100% true. But they put her on trial for this. And the funny part is, Mia doesn't apologize. She doesn't try to reason with them. Again, the most inept, unprepared person in humanity's existence smirks at her husband and then is a wise ass to the judges that are furious at her and says, well, it solved the problem, didn't it? They're gone, the world's gone, and you could now do what you want to do. I don't see what the problem is. And it ends up the judges, there's 5 of them, and after blowing up and being outraged, which is rightfully so, they end up clearing her 3-2. And the author does put in there that it looks like the swing vote, when the individual that threw the swing vote actually had control, some sort of stake in the sale of the black hole mint thing, which means he should have been excused, or he should have recused himself from that. Again, the alien government and how they work is ridiculously backwards. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and it's like a child's government, but she gets away with it. She's exonerated, no big deal. An entire species has been wiped out of existence. 3 million years of history and culture and all that stuff. Granted, they were trench coat wearing cockroaches and nothing more, and probably a little bit of, scumbags. But instead of doing anything right, she kills them all off indirectly, accidentally, 100%. Found not guilty, makes a snide comment, and everyone's just cool with it. Everyone high fives, and me and her husband and a dozen of the metal balls, which is the best part of the story. They purchase a dozen of the metal balls before they leave. I love that. So now, author, you have no choice. You have to have the metal balls in all your story. You have a dozen of them, and they're indestructible. One was on a plant, was on the husk world when it got sucked up and blown up by the singularity, and survived it no problem. So, metal balls have to be in all your stories from now on. I love these things. And that's it. It's a happy ending. They teleport away a couple of times, heading back to Earth to report on how Mia is just the friggin' worst. I absolutely hate Mia. But overall, I know I complain a lot about the main character. I do not like the main character at all. I think she's awful. But overall, this was actually a pretty fun story. So for this one, I can confidently say that it was a 3 out of 5 star book. And I'll tell you why. Number 1 is Mia. I take a star off right then and there because Mia as a main character is awful. She's stupid, she's unprepared, she's a blundering idiot, and honestly, she's a serial killer. Accidental, sure, but bottom line is, as great as the story was, and as the fact it does remain that yes, she did accomplish her goal, if the Galactic Council just wanted these cockroaches exterminated, they could have done that themselves at any time. They specifically did not do that, did not want that. They had sent 5 other negotiators to these cockroaches to try to get them to move, and they wouldn't do it. So they did not want the genocidal option, used. And Mia brought a weapon of mass destruction down there in the form of her antimatter fuel, which ended up killing an entire species. Now, it was not intentional, but let me just try to put this into context for you. If you run your car into another car, you get into an accident, total accident, but the person in the other vehicle dies, you don't get charged with murder, you get charged with manslaughter. It's an accident that resulted in someone's death. Your intent was not to kill anybody, but your actions caused it, regardless of intent. Now imagine that you kill off all of Europe, okay? It was an accident. You didn't mean to set off the nukes, but you did. Are you telling me that there's a government in existence that's going to say, nah, it was an accident, and honestly, we kind of wanted Europe cleared off anyway. So no, you're cool. You go ahead and live your life without any repercussions. Really? Really? That's where we're going. Yes, I understand that the government, the swing vote out of the 5 had some sort of stake in the black hole, but there's no way. There's no way you could commit genocide like that, so publicly no less, that and to just walk away from it. There's no way. This place would be under civil war immediately, because how could that be allowed? Because now there's precedent too. So great, I've killed somebody. It was an accident, my lord. I didn't mean to do it. And since you let the human ambassador get away with it, I mean, the record shows you've got to let me get away with it. And if you don't, well, now we've got to look into you a little bit more. It's a ridiculous, horrible notion. And I think the story would have been a lot better if Mia would have actually had some consequences to her blundering, stupid actions that literally caused the erasure of an entire species. A 3 million plus year old species was killed by her negligence and incompetence. And she got away with it scot-free. In fact, she's giggling about it in her court date. Well, it worked, didn't it? She doesn't even show remorse. And she gets away with it. That's why this story is a 3-star out of 5. It's not that I didn't like it, I did, but it's so heinous and so awful. It was what her actions were, regardless of intent. She should be eradicated. At a minimum, she should have been executed for what she did. Maybe even like a noble thing. These were my actions, not the actions of my species. I stand to take full responsibility for that, yada, yada, yada. And they go, well, we're going to execute you, but we'll forgive your species and try with different ambassadors later on. Because keep in mind, the other ambassador out of the 2 for humanity, one's in jail for trespassing, and the other one has literally committed genocide. Yeah, humanity is screwed because of these 2. And yet, they let her go. No problem. Yeah, I can't reconcile that. I'm not okay with that at all. And that's what really killed this story for me. Mia. I mean, that character as a whole just needs to go. That all being said, the metal balls, the cockroach people, the negotiations, the idea behind everything, the way the cockroaches didn't just give in to her demands and stuff like that. There's a lot of excellent parts of this book, and for every excellent part, it's unfortunately shadowed by Mia's awfulness and the genocide, like the unjustified genocide. Yes, they attacked her. Yes, they stole it from her and they caused their own demise. But if your device, if your technology has that capability and you have no intention of using it, which she clearly didn't, why would she bring it with? Why would she do something like that? You don't walk into a negotiation with a literal biological weapon strapped to your hip just because. I mean, it's an absolute ridiculous notion. And again, I don't have a problem with it being in the story because that's Mia's character. She's unprepared. She's an idiot. She walks into situations and just goes, she innately knows that her plot armor is going to make it so she succeeds. And it's disgusting to me. So 3 out of 5 stars. I love the premise. I love the plot. I love the world building, but I hate the characters. And those 2 balance each other out. And that's how I came up with 3 out of 5 stars. But again, this is just one guy's opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Please pause the video, or, at the end of the video, go down to the link in the description, click on it, get the book, read the story, come back and tell me what you think. Was I right? Was I wrong? Was I somewhere in between? I would love to have a conversation about it because I actually do enjoy reading this book so far. And that's it. Another book review is in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And as always, thanks.